Hi, welcome back to this platform. If today is your first time, we are here to learn and acquire knowledge. Today's topic will be taken from the book of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 24 to 29. I read, "Therefore, everyone who hears this word of mine and put them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came down, the stream rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house. Yet it did not fall, because it had its foundation on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain came down, the stream rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell with a great crash. This house is you and I. The rock is the word of God." What does this house represent? It represents the people and the land. The rock represents the word of God, his desires for his children. The white man has built his house upon the rock here on earth collectively. This is practical and logic. By taking care of the physical, the inner being will be taken care of. How can you function when you have no hope? The white man has put his hope in place for his people physically by making sure they live in dignity. Let us open our Bible to Leviticus 19, verse 13 to 15. I read, "Do not defraud your neighbor or rob him. Do not hold back the wages of a hired man overnight. Do not curse the deaf or put a stumbling block in front of the blind, but fear your God. Do not pervert justice. Do not show partiality to the poor or favoritism to the great, but judge your neighbor fairly." This is what white man worship, not the physical building. Black man is spiritual, building his house in space whilst he lives on earth. What is black man's hope? Is to go to that performance, which is the church, and gamble with the little he has and pray and wait upon the Lord. This is first class gambling. Giving God your money in waiting for him to return it in folds. Luke chapter 6 verse 35, when you have time, you read. It says, "Give without expecting to get anything back." Black man, until you understand that you are the house, the country, the continent.
Kenya's President William Ruto has condemned the storming of Parliament as a threat to national security and vowed to restore order. Thousands marched on the building in the capital, Nairobi, in protest at tax increases. Demonstrators broke into the chamber and several people were shot dead during violent clashes with security forces. Other national leaders have called for calm.
It was the deadliest day of the protests so far, and the most direct assault on Kenya's government in decades. After several failed attempts, thousands of protesters finally reached Parliament. They forced their way inside, ransacked the building and set part of it on fire. Lawmakers who had voted to raise taxes fled through underground tunnels as police deployed tear gas, water cannon and live ammunition, killing several people and wounding dozens more. In a national address, Kenya's President William Ruto condemned the protests.
I assure Kenyans that we shall provide a full, effective and expeditious response to today's treasonous events.
Ruto made no mention of the bill that had prompted the rage. The largely young protesters say the tax hikes will increase the cost of essential products and services, crippling them economically. In response to the original outcry, the government had already scrapped several planned increases, including those on basic foodstuffs like bread and oil. But for the protesters, the concessions weren't enough. They say the government should plug its €2.5 billion deficit by reducing spending instead. And they vowed to punish William Ruto.
I don't want him as my president. I even regret why I voted him. Yes, he must go. This Nini finance bill, we are not amending. We are rejecting. Everything. We withdraw it.
They buy cars. They're just enriching themselves. Meanwhile, many percentage of Kenyans are languishing in poverty still. We have people who do not have access to education, who do not have access to health care.
And I want to tell this government, we gave you the entry, we are going to show you the exit. Mr. President, watch us.
Without you, there is no house or country. Let us build our house upon the rock, together with one mind and one heart. The system needs to be aligned with the word of God, which is the rock God's desires for his children. The word of God is not about building churches, it's about the welfare of his children. That is the temple of God. 1 Corinthians 3:16-17. When you have time, you read. There is so much frustration among Black people because we have been disconnected from God, waiting to meet him in the sky one day. The continent has sunk and it needs to be restored on the rock. It's not about church building, it's about the people. John chapter 14, verse 23, I read, Jesus replied, "If anyone loves me, he will obey my teachings. My Father will love him, and we will come to him and make our home with him." A loveless house is a sightless house. Thanks for listening. Like, share, and leave your comments. Peace be unto you.